Jin-Woo counted the bills, 45 of them. It was a little over 2,000 won. Dong-suk had promised to pay him after the raid, and it looked like he'd been ready with the cash all along. Sometimes you don't have to make things complicated. Thanks for the money, Jin-Woo said quietly to himself before taking off. Jin-Ho showed up late, holding a bag of essence stones. Boss, he called out. But all he saw were the bodies of the hunters. Jin-Woo had taken down. Jin-Ho's face turned pale, and he let out a scared eek as he ran to catch up with Jin-Woo. Just then, a member of the Hunters Association surveillance team arrived at the scene. Whenever hunters died during a raid, there was a simple procedure to follow. Something went terribly wrong, and people died. The hunters who made it back were questioned. But that's about it. This time, a no-nonsense woman, with a serious expression, was in charge of asking the questions. She looked at Jin-Woo and Jin-Ho and said, "I need your names." Jin-Woo replied, "I'm Jin-Woo Sung," and Jin-Ho said, "I'm Jin-Ho Yu." The investigator was just going through the motions. Hunters die all the time, so this was mostly about filling out paperwork. But if something seemed off, that would be a different story. The woman looked at Jin-Woo and Jin-Ho over the top of her glasses and asked, "Let me get this straight. All the C-rank hunters were killed, but a D-rank hunter and an E-rank hunter survived. Right?" Her eyes scanned the group, her gaze narrowing as she searched for something. Usually the weakest person is the easiest to pick out, but then she spotted it and let out an excited squeal. "Oh my," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. As she walked closer, she couldn't help but stare. "Is that a Kallian sword from Maya Inc.? And, wow, you've also got a Royal Series shield made by the famous craftsman Greedos." Jinyo's face lit up with a huge smile. "Hey, you must know your stuff." "Not really. I just try to keep up with the latest gear." Ha ha ha. The sword was a whopping 700 million won, and the shield was 500 million won. What made them so expensive? They were forged with super rare essence stones and other valuable materials. These powerful tools could turn a weaker hunter into a total rock star, even stronger than some of the more experienced ones. As she thought about these amazing weapons, a theory started to form in her mind. She imagined what might have gone down in that dungeon. With gear like this, it would be a piece of cake to take down those magic beasts, even if all the stronger hunters got taken out. And that weaker hunter probably managed to survive by hiding somewhere safe. It sounded like a solid plan, but little did she know, it was actually the opposite of what really happened. It didn't make sense that someone who could afford super expensive weapons would turn against their friends for a few precious stones. And it was definitely not possible for a low-ranking hunter to take down multiple higher-ranking hunters. So the deaths of Dong-suk and 7 other hunters must have been accidents. "Okay," the investigator said with a nod, looking happy with what she had found out. She closed her notebook, seeming to consider the case closed. The investigator smiled and said, "You're free to go now. It's been a long day, so thanks for answering all our questions." Jin-Woo spoke up for both of them, saying, "Thank you." The investigator quickly left the scene, just as suddenly as she had arrived. Jin-Ho turned to Jin-Woo and bowed deeply, saying, "Good work, boss." Even outside, he used his perfect manners, bowing low to show respect. Jin-Woo could tell the guy was really scared of him. Jin-Woo just shook his head, thinking, "You're not any better." The man quickly spoke up. "No, I didn't do anything. You're the one who did all the work, boss." He handed Jin-Woo a bag, with a polite smile. Inside the bag were tons of essence stones. These special stones were super valuable. One from a C-rank dungeon could be worth as much as 10 million won. Jin-Woo's eyes widened as he gazed at the pile of essence stones. Even a small one was worth millions. He tried to calm down, but it was hard not to get excited. How much were all these stones worth? He bit his lip to stop himself from laughing out loud. Just then raindrops started falling into the bag. Plip! Jin-Woo looked up to see dark clouds covering the sky. It had been getting cloudier all afternoon, and now it was pouring. He felt relieved that he had told his sister Gina to take an umbrella. A small smile spread across his face as he thought about her. When Jin-Woo got home later that night, he quickly summoned his stat screen. "Stats," he said. The screen appeared, showing him his abilities. Strength, 53 stamina, 30 agility, 38 intelligence, 30 perception, 32. He also had 10 available ability points, which he had earned as a reward from completing an urgent quest. He couldn't wait to use his new ability points. They were like getting rewards for 3 daily quests, plus a little extra. Or he could have leveled up twice and gotten the same amount. He decided to boost 2 of his skills, agility and perception. First, he focused on agility, then, he worked on perception. In the end he put 7 points into agility, and used the rest for perception. Here's how his stats looked now. Strength, 53 stamina, 30 agility, 45 intelligence, 30 perception, 35. He had no more ability points left to use. Excellent, he thought. His abilities had gotten a lot stronger. Agility was almost as high as his strength, and perception had jumped up to 35 points. Jin-Woo Sung was thinking about how to make his character stronger. He wanted to balance his strength, agility and stamina. But he wasn't sure what to do with his intelligence points. For now he decided to focus on the other stats. He checked his status, name, Jin-Woo Sung job, none HP, 2600 fatigue, 0 level, 21 title, Wolf Assassin MP, 390. His stats look like this. Strength, 53 stamina, 30 agility, 45 intelligence, 30 perception, 35. He had no available ability points to spend. Jin-Woo's skills included passive skill, unknown max level willpower level 1, active skills, dash level 1, and murderous intent level 1. Jin-Woo's eyes widened. As he looked at his level, it had gone up 3 times. He was also excited about his new murderous intent skill. Should he check out today's achievements? Jin-Woo's stats were looking awesome, thanks to the 10 points he had just added. But that wasn't all. He had achieved some really cool things. The daily fee was a whopping 2,000 won, and his bag was packed with essence stones. Let's count them, 11 from the spider and 38 from Dong-suk's team. That's 49 essence stones in total. If each stone was worth at least 5,000 won, Jin-Woo would have over 200,000 won. I made 200 million won from just one raid, he thought, amazed. It was a huge amount of money, and it was all his, because he had taken the shares that would have gone to 10 other people. He got a sweet surprise. Everything was working out in his favor. Now all he had to do was sell some special items called essence stones. The good news was that selling them wouldn't be hard. As soon as they hit the market, people would snatch them up fast, because there were so many buyers looking for them. But he did have a decision to make about how to sell them. Usually hunters like him would sell their stones to other hunters in private deals. Sometimes though, big groups like guilds or companies would buy them too. Jin-Woo thought about what to do with this huge haul. He didn't want to sell it online, or to individual people. Can't I just sell these in a shop? He wondered. It would be super convenient if the system store would buy the essence stones from him at a fair price. Jin-Woo tossed the bag into a corner and started thinking. Then he remembered something cool he had accomplished. A big smile spread across his face as he thought, now I can buy something from the shop. Excited, Jin-Woo quickly summoned the shop to see what he could get. He didn't have a lot, but he still had all the gold he got from exploring the instance dungeon at Hapcheong Station. Now it was time to shop. He clicked purchase and ping. A huge list of items popped up. There were all sorts of things for sale, cheap potions, random accessories, super expensive protective gear, and fancy weapons. Everything cost gold, and that made sense. The really good stuff was always the most expensive. The most expensive item cost a whopping 10 billion gold. Wow, 10 billion gold. Jin-Woo exclaimed. He only had 12,000 gold, which wasn't nearly enough to buy anything good. But he wasn't in a hurry. He had plenty of time to save up. Jin-Woo thought to himself, if I save up enough gold, I can buy this stuff. Right? He started humming as he checked out the pricey items. Now he had another reason to explore instance dungeons and collect more gold. He couldn't wait to see what reward he'd get from the mystery box after completing tomorrow's daily quest. It had been 3 days since Jin-Woo returned from his adventure at the C-rank gate. As he was thinking about his next move, his sister Gina walked in the door. She got to come home early because it was Saturday. Gina walked in the door and kicked off her shoes. She sniffed the air, recognizing a delicious smell. Fried chicken. You ordered my favorite, she exclaimed. Her brother, Jin-Woo, smiled from his seat at the table. I had it delivered for when you usually get home, he said. Gina's eyes widened in surprise. Wow, thanks. Jin-Woo waved her over, and she hurried to join him. What's going on? Did something good happen to my super frugal brother? She asked. With a grin, Jin-Woo chuckled. Hey, put your bag down first, he said, before sharing his news. Take it easy, no need to rush, someone said. But Jin-Woo's friend just rolled her eyes and replied, "Whatever, this isn't heavy at all." That was pretty funny, since just a few days ago she had complained that a small folding umbrella was too much for her to carry. Jin-Woo raised an eyebrow, but he couldn't help smiling. Something must be going right for him. And it was Mi's bank account. Balance had just gotten a major boost. It used to be 800,000 won, but now it was a whopping 18. Jin-Woo was on top of the world after selling his essence stones. He had made a whopping 80,000 won. To put that in perspective, he had already paid his landlord 500,000 won for rent, and he still had a ton of money left over. This was all thanks to one amazing raid. For 4 years Jin-Woo had been working as a hunter, but it wasn't until now that he felt like a true hunter. These days, being a hunter meant making big bucks, and Jin-Woo was finally living the dream. He couldn't forget the shocked face of the employee at the essence stone shop. "Did you really get all these by yourself?" the employee had asked, eyes wide with wonder. Jin-Woo just shrugged and said, "Somehow I did." The employee's response was priceless. "Oh my, that's incredible," and it's no wonder the employee was amazed. Jin-Woo had collected 49 C-rank essence stones, all on his own. They were initially worth a whopping 300,000 won, but then they found out the tax was super high. "The tax is 40%. Someone asked in shock. "Yes, that's right," came the reply. "Individuals have to pay 40%, but guilds only pay 10%. Jin-Woo wondered, why do guilds get to pay less tax? The answer was, it's because guilds are required to respond when they're called to help out. This made sense to Jin-Woo when he thought back to the double dungeon incident. He remembered that the surveillance team and White Tiger Guild had shown up together to handle the situation. Guilds got some pretty sweet perks, but they still had to work with the Hunters Association and the government. He thought about this for a moment. Should he hold on to these valuable essence stones and sell them later, after joining a guild? But then he ditched that idea. By the time he became part of a guild, he'd be tackling way tougher A or B rank gates. Jin-Woo really needed to make some money, and he knew that essence stones from high-ranking gates were super valuable. He couldn't just join any guild to save on taxes though. "I'd like to exchange these, please," he said. He had 18,000 won left, which wasn't bad. To celebrate, Gina had suggested getting some fried chicken and beer. As they sat down to eat, Jin-Woo caught Gina trying to sneak a can of beer. He flicked her forehead with his finger, making her jump. "Ouch," she cried out. Jin-Woo just laughed and handed her a soda instead. "This is yours," he said with a grin. Gina rubbed her sore forehead, pretending to be annoyed. "Geez, I was just joking," she said. Meanwhile, Jin-Woo cracked open a cold beer and took a refreshing swig. Jin-Woo's eyes snapped open as his phone suddenly pinged. What was going on? A message had just popped up out of nowhere. It said a bad substance had been found in his body, and that a special power called detoxing had kicked in. The countdown began, 3, 2, and then it said detoxing was complete. Jin-Woo wondered what this message meant. Was it talking about the beer he was drinking? He finished his can and quickly opened another one, taking big gulps. But as soon as he did, the same message popped up again. A bad substance had been detected, and detoxing started all over. Despite downing 2 cans of beer in no time, Jin-Woo didn't feel drunk at all. It was weird. He should be feeling something by now, but he felt totally fine. What was going on with his body? Something weird was going on, and Jin-Woo couldn't figure it out. A special power called a buff had been used on him, and it was working really well. But what was it? Jin-Woo tilted his head, confused. He had never met another hunter who could do this kind of thing before. Usually, hunters with powers like that joined groups called guilds. As someone who worked alone, Jin-Woo wouldn't normally meet people like that. If someone had put the buff on him without him knowing, his special system would have warned him, so there were only 2 possibilities to consider. Something weird was going on with him, and he wasn't sure what it was. He thought he might have gotten some kind of special power either when he was out cold, or a long time before the system turned on. He had a feeling it was probably the second one. Gina noticed that he looked really serious and got concerned. "Hey, are you okay? Did you eat something bad?" she asked with a laugh. "You should have been more careful," but he just shook his head. "I just remembered something important," he said. "You keep eating. I'll be right back." Then he got up and went to his room. Jin-Woo's mind was racing as he thought back to every single memory, searching for anything he might have missed. And then it hit him, something he hadn't considered before. Every quest he'd been on had given him rewards. even the ones that didn't exactly go as planned. But there was one quest he hadn't checked for rewards. Jin-Woo quickly opened his inbox, his heart beating faster. He remembered getting a message about completing this quest, but at the time he didn't know much about how things worked. Now, he was excited to see what he might have missed. Jin-Woo's eyes scanned his inbox until he reached the very bottom. That's where he found it. A message that made his heart skip a beat. Congratulations on becoming a player. His voice trembled as he whispered, "Check." Suddenly a ping sounded, and more messages appeared. The system warned him that not following its rules could lead to trouble. But what really caught his attention was the mention of rewards. He remembered hearing a mysterious voice in the dungeon saying something about rewards too. Then another message popped up. You have fulfilled all the requirements to complete secret quest. Courage of the Week. It turned out that this secret quest was one of the challenges he had completed. He never bothered to check the reward before. He thought he was just imagining things back then. But now, a message popped up. Failure to comply may result in a penalty. Then, another one appeared. The rewards have been delivered. Would you like to check your rewards? He typed yes and waited. Suddenly, he heard a ping. A secret quest reward had arrived. It was called Courage of the Week Completion Rewards. The great spellcaster Kandiaru had left him a special gift, a blessing. Kandiaru was blown away by his bravery and wanted to show appreciation with this unique present. You've got Kandiaru's blessing, and that means you're in for a strong and healthy life. The words echo in your mind. May the challenger's days be filled with light. You feel a surge of energy and two special powers kick in. First, there's the temporary buff, Spirit of Rehabilitation. It's like a magic fix-it tool. All your injuries are healed instantly. Then there's the long-lasting buff, Health and Longevity. This one is like having a superpower shield. You're protected from diseases, poisons, and anything else that might harm you. And when you sleep, your body heals even faster. It all makes sense now. Remember that severed leg. It's back to normal. The secret quest reward was the key. Your lost limb has been restored, and you can't wait to see what other amazing things happen with Kandiaru's blessing. Jin-Woo couldn't believe it. He was immune to getting drunk because of his special ability. But that got him thinking. Was he immune to all poisons? His eyes widened in surprise. Maybe this meant he could handle something really powerful. Jin-Woo quickly grabbed an item from his inventory. It was a pouch called Kasaka's Venom Gland. This stuff was super rare and came from a Kasaka, a pretty tough creature. If he drank it, his skin would get tougher. But the poison would also hurt his muscles for good. The pouch had two effects: Kasaka's armor scales, which made him 20% less likely to get hurt, and damaged muscles, which made him 35% weaker. But here's the thing. If the poison weakened his strength, maybe his detoxing power could counter it. There was only one way to find out what would happen. Jin-Woo squeezed his eyes shut and downed the weird liquid in the pouch. It was super gross and tasted like something rotten, but he forced himself to swallow every last drop. He had heard that the worse it tasted, the better it would work. As soon as the liquid hit his stomach, a message popped up. A harmful substance has been detected. It said, then buff detoxing has been activated. Jin-Woo watched as the numbers counted down. 3, 2, 1, detoxing is complete. The final message made him grin. Debuff, damaged muscles has been negated. Yes, Jin-Woo pumped his fist in excitement. He quickly checked his stats to make sure everything was okay. His stats looked like this. Strength, 53 stamina, 30 agility, 53 intelligence, 30 perception, 36. He had no available ability points. But the good news was that he had taken 20% less physical damage. And just as he had hoped, his muscular strength was still strong. Nothing had changed. It was all good. His stat was still at 53, but now he had a cool new power. He could reduce the damage he took. It only worked for physical damage, but 20% was a big deal. Nice, he exclaimed, pumped about his new stats. Just then, Gina's voice came from the living room. Hey, do you know someone named Jin-Woo? She asked. Jin-Woo's sister walked into the room and said, there's a guy on the phone asking for you. He says his name is Jin-Woo. Jin-Woo raised an eyebrow, thinking that was probably not the guy's real name. He got up and took the phone from his sister. Hello, this is Jin-Woo, he said. The voice on the other end replied, Boss, it's me, Jin-Woo. Jin-Woo wasn't surprised. He recognized the voice. How did you get my number? Jin-Woo asked. Jin-Woo explained that he knew someone from their association, and had to call the home number when Jin-Woo didn't answer his cell phone. What do you want? Jin-Woo asked. getting straight to the point. But Jinyo was being mysterious. I'm sorry, boss, but I need to talk to you in person. This isn't something I can discuss over the phone. Jin-Woo was curious and a little skeptical. Did Jinyo really want to see him again after everything that had happened? But Jinyo was being super persistent, so Jin-Woo agreed to meet with him for an hour. There was something about Jinyo that was just really unusual. Jin-Woo was supposed to meet someone at Cafe Din, a super popular cafe right across the street from his apartment. He walked in, and it was packed with people. Even though it was a weekday, guess everyone needed a coffee break after lunch. Jinyo spotted Jin-Woo and waved him over, calling out, "Boss, over here." Jin-Woo had been on high alert before entering the cafe, using his special skills to scope out the place, but he hadn't noticed any other hunters lurking around. Jinyo didn't come here looking for a fight. He couldn't think of anything he'd done to make the new hunter mad at him. The hunter sat across from Jinyo looking surprised. "I didn't think I'd see you again," he said. Jinyo's ice cream was still sitting on the table, unfinished. He got up and asked the hunter, "Did you order something?" "Want some coffee?" someone asked, but Jinyo just shook his head and said, "No thanks, I'm fine." He plopped down in his seat, looking pretty disappointed. Jin-Woo tried to start a conversation. "So what did you want?" But before he could finish, someone burst in with some crazy news. He really did it. That's insane. Jin-Woo's eyes darted to the side. A group of tough-looking jocks were being super loud at the next table, laughing and joking with 3 girls. Jin-Woo tried to tune them out and focus on Jinhyo again. Jin-Woo was trying to talk, but the guys at the next table were being super loud. One of them said, "You're just making that up. Because the girls are here." The other guy shot back, "I'm not. Want me to show them the proof?" The boys' voices and the girls' giggles filled the air, making it hard for Jin-Woo to have a conversation. He got up and walked over to their table. The guys turned to look at him. "Can you please keep it down?" Jin-Woo asked. "There are other customers here too," one of the boys said, rubbing his neck and nodding his head. "Oh, yeah, we'll be quiet." "So, sorry." The girls burst out laughing at his silly moves. Jin-Woo stared at them for a moment, then turned to leave. But just as he did, something whacked him on the back of the head. A crumpled paper napkin fell to the floor, and suddenly the room erupted in laughter. And ha ha, and he filled the air. The boys were having a blast, but the girls pretended to be annoyed. "Hey, don't do that," they said with big smiles. Jinyo's face turned serious as he watched his friends joking around. "B-boss," he started to say, but before he could finish, Jin-Woo jumped up. He grabbed an extra spoon from beside Jinyo's ice cream and walked over to the counter. The other kids teased him, saying, Look, he's gonna tell on us." Then, in a whiny voice, one of them said, "Mommy, they're so loud, please stop them." The teasing continued, and Jin-Woo was the target. He walked up to a nervous store employee, a girl who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. "How much for this spoon?" he asked her. The girl apologized. "I'm sorry, sir. We don't actually sell these spoons here." Jin-Woo raised an eyebrow. "It's not more than 10,000 won. Is it?" The girl stuttered. I don't think so." Jin-Woo slapped a 10,000 won bill on the counter and turned to leave. The employee called out, "Sir." Sir." But Jin-Woo ignored her and headed straight for the table where the jocks were sitting.